What up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Ginn Podcast. This is your host, Gilbert Sanchez. If you're new here, we are here locally in San Antonio, Texas. And yeah, this is a podcast where we go over entrepreneurs, artists. I was going to say musicians, but that's the same shit. Um, Businessmen, other creators, other platforms. And what I like to do is I like to bring people on here and not only tell their story, but dig deep into their story. So if this is your first time here, do me a huge favor. Subscribe, like this video, and tune in for more because this is season 5 actually. And yeah, we come a long way. So I appreciate you. But we'll get right into it. I got a little intro for I started doing this season because I feel like one, I just practicing, two, the people that come on this platform, I think deserve it just because of what they're doing on a daily basis, monthly, weekly, yearly basis. I think they deserve it. But today's guest is a storyteller, the man behind Wavezmovement, the platform that's been putting on for emerging artists. Hopefully this is a right year since 2016. From San Antonio to the underground scene worldwide, my guest here, Frank, is building something phenomenal and real. We're getting into how it all started on this podcast. Now, this is Wavezmovement, Season 5, Episode 2. Frank, what up, man? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm good, dog. It's hot as fuck outside, but
It
I'm
definitely is.
I'm still sweating. Man, I appreciate you coming through, man. I know this is I was telling her on the ride over here, and this is I always like to just go off on tangents just because it just reminds me one how long I've been doing this and you've been doing it longer. But man, I think I was going through the messages a couple weeks ago, and I think I want to say either you, maybe an artist that you had managed. We were supposed to do a podcast, and I can't remember on how it actually fell apart. I don't know if you remember or if this is something coming to your head, but
No, I remember.
yeah, yeah.
Briefly. Yeah, and I know we kind of communication maybe got lost in translation, but I mean, it's moved on from that. So
Yeah, my apologies.
no, it's all good. It's all good. It happens.
Yeah, dog. This is probably the first season that I'm clear headed, clear minded, know what the fuck's going on, have a structure, and I want to say after 2021, maybe midway through 2022, it just went declining. Not the podcast, a little bit, but just I guess my structure in life and what the plan was for this actual platform. So there's a lot of things that I wish I would have done better. There's a lot of things that I know I could have done better. Communication, timelines, time management. I can go on and on, but you're here now, and I appreciate you showing up, big dog. But shit, we'll start off, bro. Did I get the year right? 2016.
Yeah, you got it right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
doing it for a while. So
So Google is very accurate.
yes.
Um, I want to start off with Waves, man. So you started in 2016, but what actually were you doing this before, as far as getting stories behind the artist, or is that something you just kind of popped off and from there it just took you on the ride that you on now?
Yeah, so kind of where I got started is during high school. I used to be really big into like artists, like just finding out like new artists coming like to the scene. So I remember like in high school being connected to like seeing like Kendrick Lamar in a room full of like 12 people, J. Cole in a room full of less, like Tyler the Creator, Odd Future, and all them, like coming to Austin,
Yeah.
having to find my way out there, you know, whatever means necessary to see some of these artists. At the time, I was maybe one of the only few people that actually were listening to artists like this, or especially just around like where I grew up. You know, people weren't listening to Kendrick Lamar, people weren't listening to Big Sean, Big Crit, anything like that. So I felt like, in tune, just being able to be on top of something like where, seeing all these artists come and then seeing what kind of impact they had later on down the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I started learning that all these artists that were coming were all coming through the same promotion team, all coming through Score More shows. So I was like, well, how do I get part of this? How do I get my foot and maybe seeing, some of these shows, but also being behind the scenes of these shows too. So I learned that most of them were just happening in Austin, Dallas, and Houston. So I reached out to, someone out in Austin. They said, yeah, he goes, we actually plan to bring something to San Antonio. We'll definitely, keep you, updated with that. Sure enough, for a San Antonio show, ended up being like Wale at Club Rio. Sold out
Damn.
show, yeah,
Yeah.
blew up. And then after that, they said, okay, you know what? Let's bring some more shows to there. So they bought Big Sean. Big Sean, another sold out show at the White Rabbit. And then they said, you know what? Okay, San Antonio has a good market. How many tickets? If you could sell this amount of tickets, we'll work with you into seeing about how you can be part of the team. I said, okay, cool. So the thing was, I had to sell 50 tickets. Sold 120 tickets.
Okay. Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar sold out show White Rabbit.
Yeah.
So cool experience doing that. I got to meet a lot of great people, a lot of mentors, just a lot of creative minds that all came from that group that all like just moved and branched out.
Yeah.
But even when I was doing stuff like that, I got to talk to a lot of like the local artists that were trying to be on these shows, that were trying to, really go at it. Some of them, were given the task of just selling tickets to open up. It showed you what fans they had and what kind of support that they had there in the streets too. If they were able to sell these shows, and if they were able not to do it, then it showed that maybe you just need to grow more fan base. Have those people, those real supporters here.
Mhm.
So I got in touch with a lot of local like, talent, but I also noticed that this was the only gateway for them to actually get promotion, to get support, was through these shows. They didn't have articles written up. They didn't have people actually promoting their music, things like that. And I was big into that, especially growing up. Like I would maybe wake up every morning and go to Two Dope Boys, Not Right, try to find new songs, new artists, stuff like
Jeez.
that.
Yeah.
So that was like my thing,
Yeah.
coming to. So I knew that I want to do something like this. I love writing. I love being able just to sit there and talk about like an artist. So I end up linking with two other creative individuals to say, you know what, let's turn this into something big, something impactful for the city.
Hmm.
And it did. We started getting a lot of a lot of support, a lot of opinionated things where people were like, you know what, I was like, maybe you shouldn't talk about this. Maybe you should branch out to talking about this instead. I'm like, well, I like my focus. I'm having fun doing this
Yeah.
creative. Just wanting to just get it down on pen people. So,
Yeah.
but
The
I knew eventually it had to move away from like the local scene too.
Yeah, you talk about Big Sean, Wale, and these huge artists now, but this I'm assuming this is what 2014, 15, or what timeline?
2012,
Oh,
2012 to
okay, so
2014. So
Jesus,
yeah,
that's crazy. So you've been doing a while, dog. That's wild.
yes,
I'm trying to remember what album or what was Kendrick Lamar promoting at that time as far as music.
at that time,
Gotcha.
Section 80,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
at the time at the White Rabbit when I first started with Score More, and then he ended up coming back to doing like a Good Kid, Mad City,
Hmm. Hmm.
and from there, like I think J Cole had his 2014 Forest Hills Drive show at Alamo City Music Hall, and I remember being like backstage the entire time, like
Yeah.
geeking, like just being able to like see like J. Cole and his whole team like just work in the city and how like fluid everything came. So that was really like crazy. But just seeing every artist like that, like I remember like seeing Mac Miller there. Like Mac Miller was at Alamo City Music Hall. Like
Yeah.
he super joyous presence to be around. Like just cool guy. But like those are some of the experiences that like I like took away like to say, you know what, like I want to do more. I want
Mhm.
to be able to like have these kind of relationships with these artists, but in a cool, it just in a cool way. Like I didn't want like just for me to like approach them and be like, hey, like it's nice to meet you and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But I don't have nothing to offer. I
Yeah.
don't have a cool interview platform. I don't have anything like that. So I was like, you know what? I was like, that's probably what I want to focus on here. So I eventually told them, you know what? I want to branch out to something different. And by all means, they were probably some of the most supported group of people to ever
Damn.
tell me, yeah,
Badass. Yeah.
go do what you need to do. We're just a phone call away if you need help. If we can get you into a show just to see the show, just to, being able just to review that, let us know,
Hmm.
And to this day, like I have mentorships that come from that now. Like I can easily just message them and be like, hey, what's coming out here with this show? Is there a way? And they're like, yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
We hear your name a lot. Let's see what we can do
Oh
and
yeah.
everything. So um blessed to have like those kind of things, and I try not to use them like a lot. Yeah, that's one thing that I will definitely try to do. I'll try to I'll try to use it as a last resort.
Yeah.
I won't really. I try not to ask for help. I know that if I have the ability to try to pull it off, I'm going to before that becomes it. And I feel like the win is a lot much better when you actually go for it all.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Now that's so dope. It feels like in my opinion, there was a gap that you needed to fill, and that was at least starting waves movement, just putting, I guess, local artists, having that, I guess, giving them more exposure, right?
yeah.
More exposure than what they needed. Because I mean, maybe you can tell me more. Because in my opinion, other than platforms that I know of today, you might be the only one that's actually putting out the content, the resources that artists need, but to a level where not, I don't think anybody else is doing it to y'all's extent. And the reason why I bring that up is because I want to say 2023, but y'all did a magazine where y'all started High Tide,
Yeah.
and that was fucking crazy. The different artists, I don't even want to talk about the artists, but just the actual magazine itself. I want to fast track and talk about that first, just because that's really caught my eye with the actual brand back then, and that just blew my mind. Because in my head, I feel like, I don't know, maybe you can talk about it a little bit more, but does that take a lot of time from writing all the way to actual physical copies? Because y'all had physical copies.
Yeah, no, and we definitely do produce it, and this is a very very interesting topic
Yeah,
because
yeah.
so it all started with our creative director, like that kid Carter, like that's my right hand man and everything we do creatively, like
Mhm.
everything, anything that's the guy for it all. Like I probably wouldn't continue doing this if it wasn't like for him, but most of our meetings are like our waves meetings that we have. 80% of it is really just us competing with each other like on Madden or 2K. And I kid you not. And somewhere in those conversations while we're arguing with each other about just music opinions, like we'll have ideas that and we'll throw out ideas that seem so ridiculous,
Mhm.
so ridiculous. And we'll start off with an idea and it'll elevate to like something just even more ridiculous. But that was one idea that he came up with to say, "Hey, I think giving people like a physical version of the site is really, really cool." And again, like, conversation, that we can basically have and everything. But, I started really thinking about it. And even when I brought it up to him later on, I was like, "Hey man, you mentioned this magazine idea. I was like, were you serious?" He's like, "What magazine idea?" And I was like, "Well, let me refresh your memory." So yeah, so he basically structures everything, the pictures, the writing material and everything. And it's usually our job to go ahead
Yeah.
and have everything prepared for him. And one thing that we do a lot is that we do everything right at the last minute. And
Same here, dog.
yeah, so like it definitely gets him. I know it gets him irritated, and I know he's gonna watch this and be like, "Yes, it does." He's definitely gonna confirm that, like, like straight up. But yeah, so like I'll get him everything that he needs at the last minute, but it's really his job to make sure everything comes out clean. So if it is something good, like that's all credit to that man. Cause
Mhm.
like I said, I'm just sending him the write ups. I'm just sending him the photos that we've done. I put it all on him for it to come out.
Yeah.
So when everyone does tell me like, "Oh man, this magazine came out good," like I want to take 100% credit for it, but I
Yeah.
cannot. That's 100% him on doing that.
Yeah. What was I guess the main goal behind the magazine in general? Because you have promotion of these art, or just more exposure, I should say, of these local artists, or your artists above that. But why the magazine in general?
So usually, at our at my like at my office and at
Mhm.
his crib, we usually will have like books of like artwork, just something that that we look at like where we want some of our photos at. Like I remember going to like Five Below and I saw this like Billie Eilish like photo book of
Yeah.
all of her tours. I thought that was so sick. I thought that was a very cool idea just to have like behind the scenes looks of her. And I wanted something like that for us to have, that people can, not only support us to have something like that in their home, but to also be able to have like an article of themselves in their
Yeah.
home too. And be like, hey, like show people like, hey, look,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in this magazine. Like, and if you continue scrolling, like you can see all these photos from other shows that we've done too. And you're gonna get more than what you bargained for in
Hmm.
this magazine. So that was kind of like this whole thing behind it, that we just wanted someone to have, either themselves or their like the city in a magazine for them to have or take wherever they go and just flaunt it out if they want,
Yeah.
or just show like, hey, this is what our city's producing now, like, and it's helped us connect a lot of, great relationships with people. And like it's by far one of like my favorite things that we actually get out.
Hmm. Yeah, it caught my eye for sure. And I think it caught a lot of people's eyes because you've had some pretty big artists on there. But man, I want to take a going all the way back now because now we're starting in going back to 2016. So Waves Movement. What was the initiation behind that actual name? Why Waves Movement? I'm sure there's a story because it sounds like you have a lot of stories, but
Yeah, no. So it was originally started off as like a party thing. Like I like our other two founders had it where they were doing like DJ shows like at certain
Mm,
concerts and stuff like that. So different venues they had like little DJ sets and stuff like that, and it was called Waves Movement due to just like we were big on just producing like waves, starting something big for
yeah.
something huge to come. So that's kind of how like that name got started, and then when we all decided to just bunch it into saying, hey, you know what, instead of just making it this kind of showcase, let's just turn to something bigger, something for the city. And that's kind of where we all just said, okay, you know what? We're all gonna have these kind of titles, and these are gonna be the titles that we're gonna run with. And it ran, it ran good. Like I remember, I think one of the first mistakes that I started doing was that once I started writing, I couldn't stop. So I maybe listen to I'm heavy into listening to a lot of music.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think daily, my playlist is probably the most insane playlist of all time. Like if you've spent a day with me listening to my music, you'll probably think I'm a crazy individual. 1 minute I'm listening to Travis Scott, the next minute it's Miles Davis, the next minute it's MF Doom, then it's
Damn, you're all
yeah,
the way out
George
there.
Strait,
Yeah.
something else, and then it's just a variety. Just what I'm
Yeah.
feeling in the moment is what I want to listen to. So I was listening to everything, just jam packing it, and I remember doing this thing where I would drop maybe 15, 20 reviews a day.
That's heavy.
It is.
That's a lot.
It was. It definitely was. But I felt like I needed to like get this out there. I needed people to listen to it. But I also learned that it definitely oversaturated
Mm,
people coming to the website too, because no one is going to want to listen to a song like that back to back to back to back, and more likely they're probably not going to read all 20 reviews that I just
yeah.
wrote. But I was just like wanting just to produce something out there like for people just to like see and
Hmm.
read. So definitely had to stop doing that. So now I maybe like drop 5, 6 articles a day just for people to get enough reading, and I usually will space them out because before I used to just drop them all at the same time.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So that's 20 songs that you're having to hear in one
Yeah.
hour, and no one's doing that.
Hmm.
So I had to learn my lesson on that and just really space them out. So it helped a lot with my schedule. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I was like, pretty much have the whole week done. Just gotta take it
Space them
slow.
out.
Yeah.
Was quality better in your opinion when you went from 20 to 5? Do you feel like that was something you gained, or was that always there? Because I feel like, yeah, I feel like that would be,
It was because if you go back and see some of my reviews when I first started, they're pretty crazy. Like some of them are like, "Oh man, shit! Like this is great song. Like I'm listening to this while I'm smoking. Like
yeah, yeah.
yeah, like and pretty much like whenever I was smoking at this time, I really was just giving you my thoughts straight off of like my head, like, and you're gonna think like, oh yeah, this guy's crazy. This guy was definitely on something. Especially like when I did like music, like when I did reviews for like Swanee,
Mm,
like, and he'll tell me too. He was like, bro, he was like, I don't know what you were on, but you hit it out the park, but you definitely on something
yeah,
that I'm not. And I'm like, yeah, man. I was like, I don't know. That's just what I hear in your music.
yeah.
I just have to generate that out.
Man, I've known not personally, not to a good amount of level, but I've known that guy for a while. But actually, speaking of 2012, I actually met that guy in 2012 at a party. Crazy times. But man, I wanted to fucking say something. I totally forgot. Oh, are they still on the website? Like your old stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're still on there. Man,
I'll go through it just to see how far like we see how far I've gotten,
yeah.
and I'm very very happy with the results now that I produce out because if it wasn't like for like our writer like Anthony, like we
Mhm.
call him Ant, and his vocabulary is probably by far some of the most like sickest to date, like on some Shakespeare shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Like man knows how to like really pen something together. And when I brought him on, and when we got him on the team, because again that was all due to Carter that introduced me to him. Once I got him on the team, like I had to pick my game up real big when it came to writing because I just felt like man I am getting cooked
Mhm.
right now. Like in the fourth quarter, like whenever he like sends me anything, I'm like man, I was like okay, I was like, I really got to step my game up. I really got to like figure out like my P's and Q's when it comes to like writing and everything, which I feel like since then, yeah, I've gotten a lot much better. I really want to like just put like a certain focus when it comes to like my writing and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I do
Mhm.
now because of him. So like again, probably talent.
As far as the team goes, it's you as a like your main occupation as a writer for the platform for the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, would you say? How and then you got Ant that you just talked about?
Yeah, I have our writer Ant and then our other writer Rudy.
Okay.
He actually stays out in Dallas, Texas. Very also Ugh, man, yeah, that guy's talented as
Yeah.
hell too. So I definitely have a really cool group of writers, and then I have two right now that I haven't officially bought on the team yet. But they're right now like in a trial stage. So, but they're more likely just because I love their writing. I'm more likely probably gonna add them to the team eventually. But right now, that's just three solid writers here.
Do they know that you're gonna add them to the team?
Not yet. I'm
Hell yeah.
sure.
Well,
Yeah,
hopefully they watch this and they're gonna be
yeah.
they're gonna be really excited.
They definitely will. Yeah.
I think that's a huge part though, especially when you're have it on a website, is to paint the picture. Like as far as having good writers, is to paint that picture for whatever you're writing about. Because I think that's just huge nowadays. Because there's a lot of people out there that I feel like, man, it could just be so much better, so much better. So when you, I think, in my opinion, when you have people like that, it's really dope to see. And I've read a couple of the articles, and that's why I was asking how many writers do you have, because I've seen different names on there. So I was like, okay, it makes sense. There's a lot of thought process that goes behind this. And does it come easy for you since you've been doing it for so long, just writing, or what's your process like? I should probably ask that. You find the artist, or do you have that already kind of pent up? What would you say?
Sometimes. So biggest thing is like whenever I come across a song, the song more likely is gonna catch something for me. Because if it doesn't catch me in the first 30 seconds, I'll come back and listen to it.
Okay.
But I've been blessed to have music that have come across that have definitely got my attention within the first 30 seconds. It could be from the production, it could be from the lyrics, it could just be from the vibe. Like once I start hearing it, once I start listening, I'm just like
Yeah.
and then everything starts flowing like in my head just to know what I want to write. And sometimes it may just start off just like a few sentences, and then I'm like, okay, I was like, how do I come back to this? Like, how do I start from here? How do I, I was like, okay, let me listen to that song again. And then something again will kick on, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I've already got this part written. Let me
Yeah.
just continue with the rest. And that's usually how it goes. But like once I start writing, then I'm like, okay, I was like, you know what? Bring in the next song. Let's listen to the next song. And then next thing you know, I'm doing like
Yeah.
3 reviews at the same time. But like I like having like little spur of the moments like that, because even throughout the day, like even if I'm like doing my actual 9 to 5, like I'm thinking like, you know what, I was like going back to that song. I was like,
Yeah.
it's like let me, and then I'll bring out like my notepad. I'm like, let me
Mhm.
write this real quick, and
Yeah.
okay, and then come back to that later.
Nah, that's so dope, dude. Especially, I like that you do the come back to it because I mean, you could just 30 seconds, that's it, done in the trash bin and never listening to it again. So it gives people that a second chance to open your ears another time, gives it a wash to listen to other musics and then come back to it, and then you have some fresh ears.
Yeah.
So that's always dope. But I want to ask, what do you do with the? Do you ever? What's the ratio like when you have songs that aren't shit versus that you write about? Is it a lot? Is it not a
It's a
lot?
lot. It's a lot. But I also had to learn. I also like I'll give it up for like the like I'll give it up for like Carter, who gave me one of the biggest takeaways. Like when I started doing this, when I first started writing, anything anybody sent me, I would write about, good or bad. But then he had to like really like sit me down and break it down to me and say, "Well, this is your platform.
Yeah.
You don't want to be putting people on to like weak shit. You want to be actually putting on that music that you can relate to." And most of the time, I mean, the stuff that I write to isn't going to be the likings for most people. People are going to be like, "Oh yeah, well, this is garbage. Why would y'all even write this?" But like, there's more to it. Like, there's not something that I'm going to say like this isn't like I didn't just write this out of the whim. Like,
Yeah.
there's a reason why I wrote this. Like, either it's a relatable factor for me, either there's something in there like the production just stuck out, the sample that you did, I know the sample. Like,
Mhm.
I'm there's a reason why I wrote to this, and it may not be to your liking, but it's what I like, or it's what we like. And we get that a lot too, because people are like, "Oh, you only write about this person, but not about me." I'm like, you know what? It's like, you're maybe taking this person's formula and trying to do it yourself, but I'm hearing the originality.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I liked it.
You bring up a good thing on that last part. How do people just send you music, or do you go out and reach for it directly from them, or do you just kind of go to Apple Music, Spotify, and listen, or how do you first get that music to listen to it?
Yeah. So when I first got started, I was searching for
Yeah.
everything: SoundCloud, Twitter, Instagram. I was just searching for something to write about,
Yeah.
and just about anything. As the years have progressed, we've get busier and busier. So I do check our email daily, to see submissions and everything, and I write them all in a shared notepad with the team.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm like, this is what we got. Put your initials next to it, what you're gonna write about. Nothing gets touched. Then I'll go and say, you know what, maybe let me try to give it a listen. I then don't like it. I'm like, okay, well, this will stay in the notepad until a
Yeah.
certain amount of days. Once then we'll wipe it away. But most of the times, in and crazy enough that our bio says, submissions only by email. But I tell you right now, I maybe get 15, 20 submissions a day. Like, people just, hey man, listen to this. I'm like,
Can't read, man. People
yeah.
can't read.
But
Yeah.
you know what? And sometimes I'll let it sit there, and I'll be like, you know what? I was like, this song better get me. If it doesn't get me, I'm not gonna listen to it. And it's happened once or twice. I don't want to say it, like,
Yeah.
continue doing it, because I don't want that to continue happening.
Yeah.
But there have been some instances where maybe I'm just sitting around bored. I'm like, you know what? I was like, well, let me see what hit the DM,
Mhm.
and if I like it enough, then
Yeah.
so
How does this is gonna? we're going on a different track, but it's just so interesting to me. So people submit, and when you don't choose, what's the do they like get an email saying, "Hey, your submission wasn't like we didn't pick it up," or
I'll usually have a follow up email
yeah, yeah,
like to tell them like, hey, I was like, you know, thank you for submitting your review. We'll check it out in this many days. If you know if it don't hear back from us, you know, then
you know what it is.
yeah. So kind of like letting them down like softly. And
Little, yeah, yeah, sugarcoat it.
yeah,
Nah, I got you. That's
um,
the way you got to be though nowadays. Because if you say, "Hey, your music ain't shit," then that's a different type of
yeah. Like if
different type of
somebody
hit.
like continue like so I try not to be mean. I truly try not to. But like, if you like continue like picking at it, because I've had people like really pick at it, and I'm like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna straight up just tell you, man. I was like, I didn't like the song.
Yeah. Hey,
I didn't
that's
fuck with the song. I was like, you're asking me to like really, check this out. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I told you give me a few days because
mhm.
I got all this other music I want to listen to first. But if you really want an answer right now, I'm gonna give you your answer right now. I was like, I just didn't like it. I was like, straight up. I was like, I'm
Yeah, and that goes back to it's your platform, right?
yeah,
Like I guess you can, you're y'all. I should say y'all. Y'all the one there to picking and choosing what's being put out there based off y'all's liking. I think if they didn't want, I think if coming from me, and this is not a lot of people are like me, but I think if I'm submitting something, I know that there might be that no that's gonna come, and I
yeah.
think like you're saying, there's people out there that probably can't fucking take no. So yeah,
But
kudos to you, dog, because that
yeah,
takes a lot.
because there's also another thing too is like so like I said like we do the submissions by
Yeah,
email and stuff, but people would just send a link
to
and
music.
to yeah just to the music and that's it.
Okay, so that's a good question. What do you prefer?
I would prefer maybe introduce yourself a little bit.
Ah, okay, okay,
Tell me something about you. Tell me maybe why you wrote this song so I don't have to go maybe because
yeah.
I've come to some songs and I'll listen to it and like I will and I'll really sit there and listen to it. I'll try to dissect it as much so I know what I'm writing about.
Gotcha.
And I've come to some songs where I'm like, okay, this song is about this guy's, growing up, stuff like that, Okay, let me write about that, but let me try to, not be too personal.
Mhm.
And I write about it, and he was just like, "Oh, bro," he was like, and like I've had messages back like, "Bro, that was about my dad, not about me." And I was like, "Well, maybe if you introduced it, because it sounds like it's a lot about you, not
That makes sense.
He's like,
Yeah,
"Yeah," he goes, "You got the whole message wrong," and I was like, "Bro," I was like, I
yeah.
heard the song, and I was like, I don't know where I might have gotten that this is a different family member. He goes, "Well," he goes, "That's how I was projecting it." I was like, "Well." I project that maybe a little bit, in the
Mhm.
song, or maybe have some introduction to it.
That's a good point, man. I was about to say like, nah, you just made it make more sense because if I send a link to y'all with just no background story of in that situation of what it is, then you're gonna interpret it differently because everybody's different,
Yeah,
right? So bringing that background information in the submission makes a lot of fucking sense. So if you're watching and you submit your music, please please include some detailed information about the shit you are sending.
yeah. Like I think I told Mozzie this, but I can't remember the artist. They had a wild name. That's as far as I can remember. But someone had there was a email that I had got, and in the subject line it says, "Hey, this person is talking shit about you," and I was like, what the fuck? And I open the email. He goes, "Hey, just kidding. But my music is here. If you want to check this out." At first, I was laughing my ass off because what a great way to get my attention. Great way.
Yeah.
But I remember checking out the song, and the song wasn't that like it wasn't that good. But man, that email totally got my attention. Totally got it. Like I was just like, oh. And then funny enough is that they kept sending emails like that. They're like, I was like, "Do you know this girl?" She said she known you since high school, and I was like, "What?" And I look at it, he goes, "Just kidding again. This is my music," and I'm like, I was like, but I think maybe one of those emails did have a good song to it. And I think I might have wrote it to it,
Yeah.
and I wish I just remember the artist's name, but like they had a pretty really cool concept of just getting people to answer their emails. So
Yeah.
if people are that clever enough to try it, I mean, you just never know. Like
Yeah, because you just don't see it on a daily basis, right? So
you
you
don't.
just
Yeah.
it just gets you off. Damn, that is pretty amazing. I might just use that myself for
See.
whatever I'm doing. Oh shit, dude. I'm glad we brought that up just because the people that are watching, I'm sure, are gonna be tuned in from your platform. So that just gives them a little insight as far as what goes on the background side of it. One, before you submit to shit. Two, during, and then of course, if you don't make it to the actual platform, that you know, hey, your shit might not be good, but there's always that learning curve as far as might it might not be good. You might need to do better.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you talking about that, man. Because I was just coming from the outside in, you just kind of look like it's a seamless process, and you don't think there's a lot that goes into it. But I'm sure we both have platforms, so you know how much work goes into it. But just from a naked eye, just going and seeing the platform is just like, fuck, that makes total sense of why it's structured like that based off of what y'all have been through. So it's just dope to see the background
Yeah.
settings as far as that. But dude, fuck, we're in the middle of it. I had a question here that I really wanted to ask you. So started Wavezmovement. I want to know between from starting or even maybe before, if you have any story from back then until now, what would you think would be the biggest creative risk that you've taken so far?
There's been a lot. Like honestly, everything that we've done has been a creative risk because we sometimes don't ever think some of these things are ever going to happen, and surprisingly, like they have. I think one of the funnest things that like I've got to experience was I've never gotten on a plane before. Everywhere.
Till this day?
Oh no, so
Okay, okay.
this comes into that creative
Okay,
risk.
gotcha.
Um, every time we had to go out to a show, I drove everywhere, anywhere we need to go. But there's a list of artists that I need to see in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I've been to, I'm probably not exaggerating. I've been to 1,000+ shows, but there's still artists that I still need to see live.
Shit, dude.
Yeah, and I've been
Yeah.
blessed to see some great performers. But I think someone that was like high on my list that I really need to see was Gwen Stefani. Need to see Gwen Stefani. You know,
Gotcha. Was this recent?
this was last year.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll submit just for about anything, any shows, any festivals, whatever. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't, but it's the highlight when we do get some of the shows. So don't remember putting in for this one.
Okay.
There was a show with Gwen Stefani as a headliner, and I really do not remember putting in for it. But I went back and I did put in for it for sure. Um, and we ended up getting approved. It was in for some reason it was in Alabama, and I have no idea why Alabama loves us so much. But we get approved for festivals and shows out there all the time.
Probably because think no one wants to go out there.
I don't know. So the first festival that we got approved for was this festival. And man, I'm totally blanking out on the name, and I'm sure I'm gonna probably get hell for it later. But it was a really cool festival.
Yeah.
Really cool festival, and they had 3-day lineup. The first, I think, first day was Red Hot Chili Peppers. The second day was SZA, and the third day was Calvin Harris. Oh, Hangout Fest. That's what it's called.
Cool. Cool.
And that was the first time that Alabama had reached out to us to do this festival. Whole lineup was crazy, but our creative director Carter went out there and he got to do that. I had just started a new job, so I couldn't leave my training, so he got to experience that for himself. So I said, okay, I'll say, you know what, next opportunity like this, I'm going to take it.
Mhm.
So sure enough, there was a festival called South Star Music Festival, and it was supposed to bring like the '90s and 2000s together, and it was in Alabama. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, you know what? I was like, the drive there seems pretty easy. I can do that. But then I had to think realistically. I was like, you know what? Driving from there back, probably not the best, money wise. I was like, if I just fly out there, I was like, I think it was like maybe like $250.
Mhm.
I think driving wise and everything, all the expenses, I was looking at maybe like $700.
What was it, like 10 hours? You remember?
Like 10 or 15, I think.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay. I was like, you know what? I was like, I hate heights. I hate,
Yeah.
I really do not like this. So, but I was like, you know what? The moment was asking for it. I was like, you know what? I was like, this is gonna be a cool just experience, like being in a different, not only state but a different like place here in a festival that I'm have no familiarity like around.
Mhm.
Like I'm pretty like, like just kind of anxious like throughout the whole experience. And then mind you too, at the same time, there's a hurricane
Damn.
that's hitting right there from Alabama and Atlanta, and like I'm about to be in the midst of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? I was like, I have to take this chance. Like there's like opportunities like this need to come. So I got over my fears because I had to get on the plane 4 times, connecting flights.
Just to get there?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. Dude. That's crazy.
So
Where'd you go? From San Antonio to
I think it was from San Antonio to Dallas, and
Mhm.
then from Dallas to Alabama,
Okay.
and then coming back
Yeah.
from Alabama to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to Texas, San
Gotcha.
Antonio.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, okay. I was like, you know what? I was like, first, for the first hour getting to Dallas, scared out of my mind, but I was like, you know what? There's no
Yeah.
turning back now.
Yeah.
So, but once I actually got to Alabama, easy. And then my hotel was like right down the street. So I was like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
perfect. I was like, tomorrow's the day I get to go see, or today's the day I get to go see Gwen Stefani. Perfect. Rented out this lens. I was good to go. So we got to the festival grounds. Festival grounds was muddy.
Oh, fucking shit.
So thank
Yeah.
God I packed in. I packed like I think 2 pairs of Jordans and like these like old ass Adidas that I usually like will work out in.
Mhm.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put these Adidas for now, but I'm gonna wear the Jordans tomorrow because it said it was gonna be sunny. So I was like, okay, it was not sunny. It was wet. It was raining the entire time, and I had mud up to like right here.
Damn.
So I'm like walking with this like huge ass lens, like through all this mud, going back to back stages, seeing like Juvenile one,
Yeah.
seeing Ludacris at another stage, and then going back to that other stage. And then I'm like, you know what? I was like, this is the experience. I was like, this is fun. This is good. And I think day two was like Blink 182 headlining. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, perfect. Day two never happened because it was just so muddy that it just
Stopped. Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't right. And so I was like, okay, so you know what? That's cool. I was like, full day to edit, get these photos out. But still, like, I was still like, I gotta get back on that plane,
Mhm.
which also was a good and bad thing because bad thing was, I guess, good thing was that it got me out of, just my fear of flight,
Mhm. Yeah.
like all of that. Bad news is I want to get on a flight now everywhere I go. I don't want to drive nowhere. I want to fly everywhere.
Dude, you should have been flying. I learned that the hard way. I went my first trip outside of San Antonio was to Chicago, straight 18 hours, never again. That was just pure trauma to where I fly everywhere now. I did it once other than Chicago. It was here from here to Destin, Florida, and that was like 15 hours. Dude, yeah. No, but I get it because that was, I think I was 21 when I went on my first flight, but I was the same way. I was nervous. I was sweating. I was, they told me to chew gum because it's so high up
Yeah.
because your ears don't fucking crack out. Dude, I was, yeah. Yeah, that shit. It's funny though, because I'm glad I did it early, but like now that it's pretty dope to see because you're gonna save a lot of time.
Yeah. So I just got back from Vegas and it was maybe like 3 hours.
Yeah.
I drove to Vegas once. It was like 26
Oh
hours.
yeah.
So felt so much easier. And I got to experience a lot more this time around than I did the first time I went.
Driving, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I plan to actually go to New York in July. So
Is there something happening in July,
uh
New York wise?
well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got tickets to go see Tyler the Creator and to perform Madison Square Garden. One was because I've seen Tyler many times,
Hmm.
but I wanted an excuse to go and see New York City.
Yeah. In,
Never have I been.
okay, okay, okay.
So I was like, you know what? I was like, if I can kill two birds with one stone and see him during like his tour that
Hmm.
I've for an album that I enjoy, but also get to like, experience a city that I've dreamed about going to,
Yeah.
like, there's no brainer like for me to go.
You said July, right?
Yeah.
We went in Christmas time in 2023. Never again, dog. So many people,
Oh
and it's I think it's Christmas time, so they got lights up, they got the tree, they got just a bunch of bullshit, right? Ah, dude, it was fucking terrible. I don't. It's just it was a lot of people. Times Square, they're all really connected as far as where what everything that's happening is all connected through Times Square. But yeah, dog, I'm glad you did it now because now it's going to be a lot easier going
oh
forward
yeah.
as far as going on the plane. But I want to end with this, and this is shout out to Question. One of these days I'm gonna have him back on, but this question really comes from him, and I want to structure it. I want to say it a little bit different, but if and you could just maybe just talk from your point of view because I know this is a whole team collaboration between the whole platform and thing y'all got going on. But if y'all were to kind of shut down, stop everything now, what would you want Waves movement to be remembered going forward from here on out? What would you want to be remembered as?
That's a good question. Just only because I do everything to prevent that from happening,
Yeah.
but I know, times like that, you do have to be prepared for, you just never know anything like that can happen. I really just want us to be remembered as you know, just a group of creatives that just had a vision like for the city, something that they put their dreams into seeing accomplished. Like I think I every year I make a list with all my whole team and I tell them what do you guys want to accomplish? What is it? What artists? Who do you want who do you want in your scope, your lens like,
Yeah.
and then I figure out how to get that done. Like I think when I first started when we first started this, nights were all like nights were just us at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning just arguing about music.
Hmm.
Dipset playing in the background, us talking about how we're gonna free Max B, like just stuff like that.
Hmm.
Like was just talking about like the whole mixtape era, our favorite G Unit radio tape. Like that's how we got started. Like it was just us trying to chase our dream, like trying to chase what like the artists that we want to see, the artists that we want to meet, like being in the space of some of like the most creative like people and like and it's funny enough that like I kid you not, like me and Carter talked about like, man, wrestling and hip hop would be so crazy to see, something crazy to experience. And like we got to see like West Side Gun do like his whole like fourth rope thing with Smoke DZA. Couldn't be more
Yeah.
happier with an outcome like that because this is an artist that we both said like
Hmm.
we would eventually like meet. Like we became so engulfed into being connected with everyone from that team except West Side Gun. And when we finally got to like be in the presence of that, like we're just like, mission accomplished,
Yeah.
but we want more. There's still a lot more. Like
Yeah.
I was like, but to know like we got somewhere where we want it, then we had to figure out, okay, our goals got to be much higher next time. They have to be, like what is it? And like I'm fortunate enough to say like when we've come up with the goal, like we've hit them, and
Hmm.
not only have we hit them, but we've gotten to that next level to I really don't know at this point what our next goal is because
Yeah.
once we make it, it gets hit, and I'm like, I need to make this impossible. I
Yeah.
really need to make our next goal like physically, like mentally impossible. But the team that I have, like I'm blessed with just a creative group of people, and not just like my team, but like even with like people like you, like Views, like Mozzie, um, Loud City Society, like they also help into making sure like not just the city but like Texas in general is just
Yeah.
up there. And I don't ever look at them as like competition or like as haters or as somebody like that. Oh man, I need to beat them. Like I just look at all of us individually as someone, people who are just creating a foundation for us to get to where we need to be, no matter what space that we're all in.
Mhm.
Individually, I'm sure you have your own goals of where you want this podcast to be. And I'm sure, I have a different goal of what I want there to be. But the fact that we're all in that same race, but running in different lanes is amazing because at one point we're all going to catch up with each other to see each other grow.
Yeah.
And that's the respected lane. But like, it's always good just to
Mhm.
have like that kind of environment around you
Yeah.
because you just like you mentioned, like this could all be gone by
Mhm.
tomorrow, and that's the legacy I want to live. That there were just these people that just want to chase their dream, just want to
Yeah.
see that vision come to life. If something was to happen to me today, I'm 100% good with what
Yeah.
I leave behind. Even the team, like even if they left and want to do their own thing, like I always I always tell them, like don't ever look at this as something that you guys have to ever keep. If there's something else that you want to tackle, by all means, what can I help you put you into that position to do that? That's
Yeah.
really all I want, like to see them like win.
Man, you hit it on the nail on coffin with a lot of things. Um, First and foremost, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate that you just put me in that group as far as people putting on for the city, because that's honestly what I was trying to do when I first started out. And that's honestly what I'm been trying to do throughout this whole process up until now. And I'm still going to do it. I think Mozzie in our first episode a couple weeks ago, he put it as far as not being competitive, but kind of watching this platform and seeing, hey, I could have done this, or hey, he's doing this. Maybe like it's just you kind of get ideas from each other, and it's so dope to see. Even though, like you said, we're in respected lanes and we're all just truly, truly different. Because Mozzie on his platform, he does things that I probably won't do. Because Mozzie, he says he's an introvert, but the way I was just there last night, he's so fucking raw and natural on camera. It's just so dope to see, even though he says he's an introvert. And then you got Jay Ross that does his thing, and that's fucking dope to see. So you got people that are doing just different things, but it's all so fucking dope because I think we just have that one goal, right? Just San Antonio, there's a tie somewhere in us where we just let's just bring this city up. And I think that's what we're all doing, even though we have respected lanes, right? Like you
Yeah.
just said. So nah, man, I respect that. Like I said, your whole team, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes and there's a lot more people on the back end. But lastly, man, I just want to thank you for coming onto this platform, taking the time out of your day.
No,
It
appreciate
really,
it.
yeah, of course, it really means a lot to me. I think we've been just seeing each other on social media, and like I said, once I saw that magazine, I was like 2025 season. I didn't say that back then because I didn't know what I was going to be here, but I think season 5, I was like, yeah, that's really what caught my eye because that put you dead apart from everybody else. That was, like I said, I don't even know if any. Can you tell me if there's anybody else doing it magazine wise or platform wise or other than somebody you just mentioned earlier?
Um, Nothing wise. I think I saw Complex do something like that similar,
Okay, there
which
we
because
go.
I really like Complex.
So if you're talking about
Yeah,
complex, then hell no, nobody in the fucking city, dog. That's crazy.
yeah. I like I said, like I think one people I think something people also need to realize is that there's no blueprint to any of this.
Yeah,
None of this gets started, basically with instructions to say, here's a rollout,
yeah,
what you need to follow. Like nobody, like we all have our beginnings. We all have our ends. Right now, I'm just trying to turn everything that we always wanted into reality. Like
yeah,
I really want us to be able to do everything. Like I think, like our photographer Matt, like he told me, he's like, yeah, he goes, I really want to hit the Aztec Theater. That's a venue that needs to be like in my resume.
hmm,
And I said, okay, do it tomorrow. Then I was like, I'm gonna take my name off of this list. You do this. Like you want that
yeah,
opportunity. You show me, that you want that opportunity. You go out there. Did an amazing, like just the photos are crazy. Like he did the Los Lonely Boys.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, they shared it. They collaborated with him. Like the Aztec collaborated with him. Like photos went crazy.
Yeah.
And like now he's telling me, he's like, well, okay, what's next? Like what's the next opportunity that
Yeah.
you need me to show off? I'm like, okay. I was like, you know what? Like let me figure that out. But that's what I want everybody to just see. Like if you have a dream, if you have something, like doesn't mean that that you have to like keep it forgotten. If you don't know the right way to start it, I mean just do it. Like
Yeah.
just basically whatever makes you happy, whatever makes you that I guess whatever inside you that makes you tick, like keep it going. If it's something that you want to start, just start it. Like
100%.
I tell people that
Yeah.
all the time. Like I don't know I don't know when this creativity in me, this light that I have, like when it's gonna go out. I pray that it never goes out.
Mhm.
It's happened before. I think I've maybe contemplated just quitting this like maybe 4 or 5 times. Came close, maybe not too long ago, but I say, you know what, like, can't stop now. Like there's just no
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the
go.
same way. And I think I saw it on your Instagram post a couple of days ago or last week. And I just want to tell you, I'm so glad you're here in this position and you're going, man. Cause it sounds like you and your team are not complacent at all. You always want to, it sounds like to me, you always want to do the next thing. You always want to do something. You even mentioned impossible. That's not a lot of people get that far. Not a lot of people think like that. So put that into something that you're doing. It's dope, dude. It's fucking dope. And that's the reason why I wanted you here on this platform. That's the reason why I wanted to pick your brain. That's the reason why I wanted more people to know that, hey, this is what this guy and his team are doing. And it's so fucking dope to see, man. Again, I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, of course. If there's anything you ever need from me, dog, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be more than happy to. I want to pick the brain of your homie, Carter. Is that his name, right?
Yeah.
I want to pick his brain, man. He sounds very interesting too. You talk highly of all of them, but where can people find you platform wise?
Yeah. Basically every social media at Wavezmovement, WAVEZ, then movement. And yeah, Twitter, Facebook. I don't like to say X, so I still say it.
Twitter, yeah.
Yeah, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, basically. Oh, and of
Mhm.
course the website, wavezmovement.com.
Yeah, do me a huge favor. Subscribe to all the platforms. If you're still tuning in right now, follow the platform, subscribe to me. Yeah, check out the website. It's fucking dope. The structure, I was looking at it day before yesterday. Structures, yeah, pictures are there. It's all around dope platform. Again, I appreciate y'all tuning in. We will see you season 5, episode 2. Until next time, people. Peace.